So we're also able to train certified CMMC professionals and assessors. Then moving on to the consulting services associated in the CMMC ecosystem, we have our registered we're also able to train certified CMMC professionals and assessors to perform gap assessments and get organizations seeking certification ready to actually go into the CMMC assessment and become certified. We are currently a candidate C3PAO, which stands for Certified CMMC Third Party Assessment Organization, and will be providing the assessment services for the official CMMC assessment to certify organizations' compliance. We have various designations, both in the contractor and corporate space, as well as a number of corporate training partnerships, as I briefly alluded to earlier. Some of our primary contractor designations are our EWOC, so that stands for Economically Disadvantaged Women-Owned Business. We are also Hub Zone certified, which is for the historically underrepresented business under the SBA. And then in the Virginia space, we have the Small Women Minority Owned certification, and under MDOT, both minority, disadvantaged, and small business enterprise. And then in terms of corporate designations, we have our ISO 9001, which is our quality management system, a NASBA approved CPE sponsor. So if you take training with us or even attend our webinars, we are able to give you continuing education credits towards your existing certifications. And then also we are qualified under the Maryland Cybersecurity Seller and the Buy and the Tax Credit Program. Authorized training partnerships, we have various ones, including Project Management Institute, if you're looking for any project management certification from PMP to CAPM. PECD as well, which offers a range of the ISO IEC certifications, CompTIA, your classic and Security Plus, A Plus, Network Plus, and so on. EC Council as well, so things like the Certified Ethical Hacker. And then we also have the training partnership with the DHS, and NCCS.
So timing her. So do I get credit today for this?
Yeah, you all do.
Okay, how many can I count on?
How long are you gonna stay?
Yeah, and I'll love to feel me. All day.
I'll stay till 8 p.m.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, and your active participation.
I don't see what you can share it
Oh,
here. The YouTube.
Yeah.
Or the Zoom. I have a Zoom.
CPEs for today as well. Of course.
Just let us know after the event. Yeah, let us know if you need CPEs. We have to issue a certificate and then the number of hours.
Yeah, so we do all today.
Yeah.
Here are some of our core services under the two major designations.
Just so confused
I
right
was
now.
talking about consulting and training. So on the consulting side,
Share meeting.
we do cybersecurity program implementation. In terms of
I don't
governance,
know.
risk and compliance, a lot of compliance audits, as well as readiness and regulatory assessments pertaining to the various industry regulations. We are also well versed in the critical infrastructure protection, which is your NERC SIP. So that is primarily the power industry, and risk management and remediation services. Training. Not only do we have the industry certifications I mentioned, but we are able to provide security awareness trainings for corporate teams or individuals, role-based training if you're looking for a specific, to prepare for a specific designation. Then professional and workforce development services, so think more your soft skills. And curriculum development and design, as I mentioned, kind of similar to our LPP designation, we're able to create content if necessary. And we have various industry specializations that I've mentioned. So that's your PECD, which is the ISO IEC, your NUTSIP, and the CMMC. And thank you. My name is Alana. And this is the contact
Yeah, but
information.
minimize
you can
this.
reach me
Show
at
Zoom.
Captiva Solutions. And moving on to our first speaker. So introducing our first speaker, Adana Onyoluchi, who will illuminate the disparities between NIST 800-171, DFARS, and CMMC. He'll break down the purpose and defining characters of each, so that you walk away with a clear understanding of their focus, applicability, and enforcement.
Got it.
You, thanks a lot. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so Adana brings a wealth of industry experience with over 20 years experience doing work with the government and defense industrial base. Currently working as an associate director at Captivity's IT and IT security and data privacy practice. Uses her deep IT infrastructure technical knowledge of industry expertise in systems and networks to bear in protecting government data. Adana's extensive knowledge of industry frameworks, the governance, risk, and compliance landscape, in conjunction with her experience serving federal government agencies, gives her unique industry insight into government contractors, the defense industrial base, and the public sector. Adana holds various industry certifications, including the Registered Practitioner Advanced. Please join me in giving Adana a round of applause. Okay, do that.
All right, okay, thank you, super, of course, all right. Thank you, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out in person. I know it's a bit of a drive and you guys have other things to do as well, but it's good for us to share information. And I know in this age, when everybody's so used to Zoom, it's good to meet in person and connect. There are a lot of subtleties that are lost when you're on Zoom.
Finally being able to
So
forward
NIST 800-171, this
going to
obviously
your
this is the regulation
Gmail
that's being
and
out by the National
yeah.
Institute of
and
Standards
then
and
I'll still
Technology.
send it
Most
to
people
you.
know that.
Okay.
But again, around the belt, we use a lot of acronyms, so it's always good to kind of act as a reminder, because sometimes in front of our clients, they ask you, what is NIST? And you're like, we use it so much, NIST is NIST, what do we need about NIST, right? So that's one. The other thing too then is, there's always a confusion, at least if not with you, I've seen with our clients. What's NIST 800-171? What's DFARS? What's CMMC? How is it different? And I've actually worked with clients where they tell me, because we're using the NIST 800-171 regulations, which is meant for commercial entities that are doing business with you, right? It's a subset of NIST, another framework, 800. Again, most of these
Too many
are,
issues.
but again, it helps us to kind of have that foundational knowledge. So when we're talking to our clients, we kind of give them that history. And once you kind of bring it in that light, the confusion dims and the light bulbs usually go off, right? So NIST 800-171 being a subset, the reason the DoD decided to even go with that standard, something that we don't always appreciate is that a lot of government agencies exchange information. The DoD figured that NIST has standards and is very good at doing it. So why rewrite for them? Why rewrite and make new standards? That would take too long. So they leveraged the standards that have already been put together by NIST, right? And so, but they decided that 853 was too big and too onerous. 171, a subset, would be more manageable for commercial entities that are not familiar with all this government speak, right? So that was the impetus for going, using 800-171, right? You can go to the next slide. So just a brief reminder for everyone, so NIST, the 800-171 is for all subcontractors working with the DoD. It has 110 controls, has 320 objectives, if you don't know that. It helps sometimes to know these numbers because, again, it helps cement our credential with our clients, right? And also, even when you're doing the work, it helps you kind of parse out what needs to be done when you're doing the analysis. So these controls need to be, actually, the reason it was put into law and mandated by in December of 2017, a lot of small businesses, heed and hoard, and not everybody complied with it. But still, there was some movement. The impetus for doing this for the DoD was they were afraid of, they were tired of losing their data. And it wasn't just data, it wasn't classified data, it was everyday regular data that they were using. And the fact that adversaries or others could aggregate information and come up with real data that could impact the government and adversely impact the government, right? From information such as mowing the lawn, right? A company that has DoD contract where they have the schematics to the bases and can mow all the lawn in the different bases. That information can be aggregated with information about troop movement. And all of a sudden, an adversary who knows where that base is can, within a 30 or 40-mile radius, kind of extrapolate where those troops are going to be moving next. And so information like that, while it seems benign, it's very, very powerful in the hands of people who shouldn't have it, right? So that was kind of so now DPARS now was the bridge. DPARS is it's a contracting arm that the government then used to mandate the use of not just 800-171, they put some additional clauses. Because as you know, when they put 800-171 out, not everybody did everything. So they put a few clauses out, 712, now, use the NIP, but now you should also use it to create a score. But in order to create that score, you need to fill out the system security plan, which would tell you how all your regulations are implemented. With that score, you put it into the supplier performance risk system, the SPRS system, and then the government contracting person could tell you, based on that score, how well, vendors are doing across the spectrum. Other clauses that were in there had to do with being able to report that score to the government and also being able to report cyber incidents, right? So these were just in incremental ways that the government DoD was trying to tighten, the initial release of 80171, right? And then that was DPARS is the bridge to CMMC, and CMMC is more of a program. And in that program, not only does it fall out for 80171, it has a DPARS clauses, and then it has some other government speak kind of regulation around how vendors need to handle government data. It talks about, using a FedRAMP certified vendor when using cloud services. It talks about how you report. It talks about how you handle CUI. What is CUI? Now, of course, a true government factor would complicate that by having National Archives and Records, having a CUI category, and also having DoD, having their own CUI categories. So as consultants in the space, as customers, as contractors, you need to look at both registries and understand what type of client data is categorized in each registry, right? And then with that information, you will then have a better sense of how to protect them, right? So there's steps to all of this. And I think all of us are here to kind of help guide our clients through that and demystify. It's nothing new, yet it's new. It's new in that we're looking at it from a different lens. But at the end of the day, you're trying to protect the data. And data no longer just lives on the perimeter, it goes outside. So we have to follow that data and protect it. So as you can see, the CMMC maturity model started out with version 1, and I know both Augustine and Pascal are going to be talking more about that. So that's why I don't want to delve into it too much. They will give you a thorough understanding of what CMMC is all about. So it started with CMMC version 1, now we have 2, right? And then definitely transitioning that all the contracts by 2025 will have CMMC language in them. They're not going to go back, so people shouldn't be afraid of it. But this is a little bit about it. I'll put the next one. Again, just trying to show the differences in the different light, right? So 80171 was more about compliance, it's more about the regulations. And then CMMC 2.0 was definitely had additional information around how to manage, the data as a program. And that's that. And then here, let's have slides again, just about the differences, right? So that as we go through, you can understand the nuances within the two regulations. And that's really all I wanted to share. And I think the last slide has a quote where this was more, 80171 was more about compliance, whereas CMMC is about reducing the risk to DoD. At the end of the day, that's what it is. And all clients and all contractors need to understand their risk posture and need to understand how they reduce the risk of, either losing the government data or government data being compromised. And so understanding the rules, what they need to do, and how they need to do it is important. So just wanted to kind of, hopefully that helped clarify some things, because I know sometimes, even for me, I forget my clients lead me down a path. I'm like, no, hold on. Because they tell me, oh, it's not, that does not say it in 80171. When the regulation does it say that you need to use a FedRAMP authorized vendor. And actually coming to one of these sessions that Captiva put together reminded me of that, because I asked Evie the question. I said, what she said reminded me of that. There is a CMMC program, which is the underlying piece as well. So we shouldn't all lose sight of that. There's more to come, and I'm looking forward to hearing the other two speakers today. So thank you very much.
Any questions? Okay.
Yes, let's say I'm a subcontractor from the DoD and I already implement 171.
Yes.
Am I allowed to go up and look for a business and say that I'm CMMC compliant?
No, you cannot, because right now the program is still, the certification is still in draft. Rulemaking hasn't occurred, so you can't make that claim. You can say you're 80171 compliant, right? As of whatever date, you can even share your SPRS score if you want, but you can't make a claim that you're CMMC certified.
And and even at this point in time, the assessments being performed, as you know, are joint surveillance based on 80171.
Yeah.
So nothing is being, even the companies that have gone through, they're only getting their 80171 assessments. However, they're buying time. So when CMMC rulemaking is final, those same companies don't have to go through again. They would have earned the right to say they're CMMC certified, but right now they cannot.
Yes, all that will happen is their package will be reviewed.
Yep.
But they're already in the front of the line, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
they're already ahead of the curve.
One thing that is just to add. if I
Yes,
may.
please.
In the proposed rule that's just went through the cycle of comments.
Yes.
Right, I provided some comments and.
Oh, you're one of the 600 people that.
Yes, because I mean, the rule is not what it should be.
Yes.
So, as mentioned, the JSVA or Joint Voluntary, Joint Surveillance Voluntary Assessment. What happens is DoD has a specific contracting now called DCM, or Defense Contract Management Agency. And underneath that, they have another sub-agency called DIPCAC. So DIPCAC and the CTPO, they jointly assess an organization against the 171 in a voluntary basis. But the proposed rule states that if you have successfully passed that voluntary assessment with a perfect score with no outstanding FOIAs, then eventually there's a possibility of converting that certification into a full-fledged CMMC level.
What level?
It would be level 2. Oh, it depends. So if you go through a JSPA, they call it a DIPCAT high.
Yeah.
So if you pass the DIPCAT high level, you'll be granted a CMMC level 2. But if you go to a DIPCAT medium, it probably won't need any. No, level 1 has a different rules of game. So there's no one-to-one correlation. The only legal correlation we have right now is if you pass the DIPCAT high, then you will be eligible for a CMMC level.
Yeah, there are a lot of
There's really
nuances.
a lot of comments from industry as well around that, because you know how it is, people.
There's lots of
should be.
confusion there.
Yeah.
So the next question now is, because you mentioned that the 80171 is a subset of 853.
Yes.
Mhm.
Now, some company say, hey, I already implement 853.
Yeah,
I'm also, since 871 is subset of 853.
Yep.
I'm also, I would say, comply with the 171.
So it depends on how each of the controls are treated. So I would want to see their documentation, right? I would want to see, especially things around encryption, multi-factor, cyber incident response. Probably, but I would want to see how they've implemented that and which 853, Rev 4, Rev 5.
and then at what level, what
Yes.
baseline, low, moderate, high?
Yes.
So you have to also consider that.
Yes.
Exactly.
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 Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because just like, if you have, let's say, complied with 853 at a moderate level,
Yes.
it probably won't comply with all the controls that 80171.
Yeah. 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 So it's very nuanced. So you can't just, say yes. The same way people also ask, well, if I use a FedRAMP moderate environment, enclave and a supplier, am I compliant? Well, of course not, but people think that you are, because of course there's shared responsibility and the responsibility that the company still has to fulfill outside of the tool itself or the platform rather. Yeah. So, yeah, that's why we'll have these conversations. It's good to understand.
Thank you.
And here's the Donna's contact information. Anybody who's interested.
You are right on time. Augustine knows the stuff. He's just trying to draw it out for conversation. Yep, yep.
Especially the one about 853.
Yeah, that's very important. Yeah. Because 853 has always been system-centric, where CMMC 80171 is data-centric. So we have to go with that mindset. So,
And also,
yeah.
and this is also to avoid, because some organizations, they have their own type of framework.
Yeah.
Right? And they say, okay, since already comply with 853, or maybe ISO
27001, yep.
Try to bring
They could have scoped out some of the controls.
Yeah.
They don't know what those are.
Yep.
Well, now we are going on to our next speaker, and who is taking us back to basics with the foundations of the CMMC, where he will be breaking down the different levels, the type of assessments of the CMMC framework.
Is introducing the speakers.
So our next speaker, Augustine
No,
Rush,
because she's
well, sorry, is a
what they are going
seasoned
to talk about
consultant
and
who brings a wealth of
introducing
experience
them.
and knowledge.
I'm just
in
going to make it plain and
information
simple.
risk
She wants to be
management
saying she did
and
it.
internal auditing and cybersecurity space, with over 15 years of experience in the industry. Augustine has been actively involved in the CMMC from spending the past 4 years supporting DIB clients as a consultant, performing CMMC services, CMMC gap assessment, readiness assessment, and DIBCAP JSVA assessments. He's an expert in the CMMC standard and serves as a lead security consultant, bringing hands-on DoD enterprise mission assurance support services, which is the EMAS systems administration experience. Augustine brings a number of industry certifications that you can see on the left-hand side here, including the CMMC, CCP, PA, PI, and
A host of others.
yeah.
All of them.
Those are just the every other. Every certification you get back. Yeah, please join me in welcoming. Yep. Okay. Oh, this one.
That. I didn't understand the picture.
Oh, so one is the Chinese plane. They stole the specs from the US and made their own plane, but they couldn't fly it because it didn't steal the manual,
Okay,
but they eventually got it.
so, good morning, everybody, and welcome again.
So that's the issue. Yeah.
Captiva.
Yep, that's the issue.
So today, we're going to talk about the CMC, right? Cybersecurity maturity model certification. So, as you can see, before we reach to the CMC, there were some, I always try to share this image. Okay. So, I would like to get your insight about these two images. Yes, so one is, we have two flags, two jet, one's black and one's gray. So which one do you think is, this one belong to, or which one is the original?
What's the original one, the bottom one? Yeah, the bottom one.
The bottom one. Okay. See, this is what I was trying to, from the first day, what the CMC is some type of control that because many people, small business, using their intellectual property, right? By like you mentioned previously, people will come, they snack and see what you are doing, and then go and multiply. Before you even go to the market, they already sell their product, and you also wonder about how come that I'm not competitive enough, right? Deny the time, the energy that you spend for the research and development. The result is that the smart guy is always behind there and then try to get it. And this is the issue that happened before the DOD said, now it's enough, enough is enough. So we have up there the American private, American jet that the Chinese copy, right? And then they have their own. Even though the technique or the security or basically what we see out there is the same thing. Like you go and buy electric car today, you have Chinese electric car, and we have also American electric car. So if you don't protect, your research and development, the result obviously some organization working together. So and that's what the CMC start from. That and not starts about that's why we say enough is enough. We can't spend a lot of money to protect our homeland security and then to protect our homeland, and then somebody or another country are out there getting those information. So what is a CMC? And as you mentioned previously, we went from CMC 2.1 to 2.0. They are saying they are going to be having 2.3 down the road, but for now, we are on CMC 2.0. So what's CMC 2.0? Right? The objective is to bring all the organizations that have to do business with the federal government, especially the DOD, and that's not only in the United States, but also in Canada and in the NATO country, to really implement those type of security to protect their system or their data, basically. And we have two categories of data that actually the goal of the CMC is to protect. We have the FCI, Federal Contract Information, and we have also the CUI, the Controlled Unclassified Information. They are the two major data that the CMC is out to protect. And when we are talking about those data, we say, well, what's the data? It's just something that you can write and keep down there. No, even the janitor who have a contract with the defense, the DOD have to make sure that the vacuum cleaner that they use, or the, I don't know, the machine that they use, the computer that they use, need to log in or check out or put down their time, they have to be, they have to be secure based on either FCI or CY that they use. But this morning, we understand that there are two types. There are GFAR. We talk about GFAR and the list 871. But if you are going back, if you go back now, you see that from the start, we have the federal contract information. That is what mostly, because the CMC is breaking into three categories, three levels, level 1, level 2, and level 3. The level 1 is focused more on the first category of data, it's the FCI data. And the level 2 and level 3, it focuses on CY data. So as you can see here, the fact is, I would say, is part of the flows that the organization follow when they have to when they are having to do with the FC and the DIFA. I have several clauses that I'm going to follow when it comes to secure the CY data. So what is FCI and what is CY? So like I mentioned previously, it's a federal contract information, and the CY is a control unclassified information. So how to achieve the CMC certification is also what our book this morning is about, like we discussed. How to achieve the CMC certification. So as you know that to achieve a certification, there are some requirements, there are some rules that you're going to follow. And if you don't follow, you're going to follow, but based also on the contract that you have with the defense entity of base. So those or when they issue the contract, you have to see on the contract which our data is about. And if you are producing those data, then you have to get some type of guidance from the DoD to say, okay, this is the type of data you are producing for us, and this is how you're going to get those data. So again, remember that it's not only in the United States, it's the same regulation that Canadian government are using, and also all the NATO countries are using, because they have business to do with the defense with the DoD.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, because not a lot of the DoD doesn't communicate too much about the international bodies that are going to be part of this program. So it's good to kind of keep that in mind.
Yeah.
They're very secretive about it.
Because they haven't finalized their agreements with them, and because a lot of non-US citizens are going to be accessing data. So they're still working all of that out, because there's a restriction on CUI to US only.
Yeah.
So they don't even have a good handle on how that is going to come about. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Yeah. So, as I mentioned previously, we have three levels of CMC. We have level 1, we have level 2, and level 3. As you can see here, the CMC level 1 is have to do with we mentioned previously with the FCI only. So if you have FCI, you don't try to target the level 2. It doesn't work. But if you have the level 2, the probability to get also FCI, you can follow the FCI, right?
Mhm.
At level 1. So, and then the level 1, as I mentioned previously, you have 15 control, but the level 2, as we are moving along, and these are the requirements that you can see there, right? It's required to register to self-assessment and affirmation in the supply performance with what is true this system. So the level 2, sorry, the level 1 2 is advanced. The advanced is we have to classify and session, the control technical information, CTR, and the HR. So that is, we are talking, we just talk about the NATO, right? So when they sell their stuff in Europe, there are some requirements that they have to follow and to protect those jet or maybe ship that they are sending or weapon that they are sending to the NATO country. And again, the baseline that each organization can start by implementing is the 800-171 as we discussed this morning. But remember that also for 800-171, it's not only focusing on CY, but you can start with the 800-171 and then tailor based on the need. But at least you know that 171 is your baseline. And the level 2 will require that you have an annual self-assessment with the corporate attestation. So if you go there and say, okay, all my controls are implemented, and down the road they discover that you didn't tell the truth, not only you're going to pay a future amount of money, and maybe you can lose the contract. And the worst thing is that you work hard and you do the R&D, and then you bring a product on the market because you were not truthful. They take your intelligence or your property and then give it to another organization to continue the job.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing.
Yeah.
Just to add to that
Mhm.
quickly, lately, the Department of Justice has been very involved with DOD under the false claims. So essentially, if you, like a better term, BS, your way into SPR saying, no, we are all good, right? But if there's a discovery that you're not, then Department of Justice will crack down on just like you said, with fines, possible penalties into jail time.
Yeah, and each violation is 25,000 times 3 of the contract's value. So triple damages, and it gets into the millions before you realize it. Yeah, it's a lot of money. And it could be an individual, and it could be on an organization that's held liable. And anyone can be a whistleblower against your company. It doesn't have to be only a US citizen. It doesn't have to only be on the US soil. It could be a contract that's being handled outside of the US, somewhere, anywhere. So it's
scary, right?
it's very scary.
Sometimes it's not money, right? Sometimes
Mhm.
it's the
Reputation.
What happens to your company when you're in the front page of, do your post saying that this is what happened, and then your entire, all the work you did to
Done.
build the company, it's all done.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And like I say, the worst thing is you spend 25 years putting down a business,
Yeah.
and then they remove everything and give to somebody else.
Yeah, just because you weren't truthful on your status.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So now let's move to level 3. Level 3 is expert. So level 3, many companies out there, they are still struggling with the level 3. And federal government or the jury are also not quite ready with level 3. Even though in December they came out with some kind of rulemaking and giving some suggestions, but they are still at the level 2 now. And for level 3, we have organization. So before level 3, organization like Captiva can help you to do the level 2 and even to do level 1. I mean, level 1 and level 2. So we have experts here that they can easily help you to either doing the CY scoping, your readiness review, your mock assessment, and so on, prepare you to go to take the DCAP assessment. And so to come to level 3 is that the organization have to, obviously, they are going to send their own smear from the DOD to come and assess your organization. And in combination with the C3PO, and obviously with your own smear. So these are the requirements to achieve level 3. So how how it's a CMC 2.0 is basically it's divided into 14 domains. And each domain, you have to really make sure that all the practices are implemented. It's one single practice, it's not implemented, that means you fail that domain, right? And like I say, it's good. I think she left already?
No, she has a meeting.
Okay.
She'll be back.
Right. She was telling us how you can, there are some type of, you can bring it to the cloud, you can divide, or maybe there are some type of personal responsibility when you divide or you give the cloud some type of control on your environment. Then the cloud going to say, okay, this is where you're going to protect, and this is what you're going to protect. So you have to make sure that the cloud service provider is respecting exactly those requirements. Because when time comes, when they assess you and then you did not implement those controls, you're not going to say it's because of a cloud service provider. Even though you have some type of SLA with them, you always make sure that they are following those requirements. So these are the 14 family or 14 domains, 14 domains that you have to implement in your environment.
Are you referring to the customer responsibility matrix?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, okay, so we know the CSP, those controls are inherited, but then there are specific controls that are.
The customer's
for the
responsibility.
customer's
Mhm.
responsibility.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct. So we always assume that, yes, you as a customer, you already implement your own control, but it's not because you shift part of your control to the cloud that you just cross your hands, right? You always make sure that they are really doing that. So the structure of the CMC 2.0, as you can see here, is nothing new. Level one, like I said, you have 14 practice, that's easy. So Captiva can come to your organization and then spend maybe, I would say 24 hours to fix this one, level one. Then you are ready to go if you have XCY. Now, on level two, you have 110 control that you really have to implement and test, right? And here, the caveat is that we are talking about CY, but the CY here are divided into two categories. As you can see here, CY prioritized and the CY non-prioritized. So how do you know that my environment have the CY that are prioritized and CY that are non-prioritized? So that are these are some type of question that you're going to really deep in. That's why we always advise you to go and see a C3PO or see a company like Captiva that have those type of experience that they can tell you that, okay, this is how you're going to implement those control, right? So the assessment for level one, you have annual self-assessment. So you do it. If you want, tell the truth. If you don't, there's a consequence down the road. Now, level two, you have the self-assessment and annual affirmation. But this one is the level two, you have a C3PO that's going to help you. So the burden also is between you and the 3CPO. But here, you are alone, right? And then when you move to level three, you have 110 plus practices that you have to implement. And then level one is those practices are based on 80171, and level three is based on 80171 and 80172. But I think if I'm correct, there are some practices that already popping up on the 80172 when you go to the NIST website. So and then you have the general government annual affirmation that the DOD is going to come and do with your organization.
And just to kind of put a little emphasis on the level three, as Adana mentioned, that 171 is extrapolation of the 853. So in the 853, one example would be in the high baseline, penetration testing is required, right? And in level 2 and level 1, it's not required for CMMC, but once you go to 172, the level 3, you'll see that correlation that the 172 is requiring penetration testing. So now we can tie those two together, that this 853 is providing input into the 172. 172, and
Thank you. So again, how to achieve the certification? We discussed that. These are the details. So for an organization who want to get this, I would say the GCAP as the GCAP authorization, right? Not the CMC, because the CMC certification is not yet official. These are the steps that you have to follow, that we give you as a guide. And that Captiva can help you in this. So that means the implementation and access the information security process. So that means you go into your system, you go into your environment, and help you to basically to break your data in several categories and remove the CUI data and help you how to protect those, implement those control, the 8.171 practicing into your, in that environment, right? And after that, we have to help you also to improve the process and submit your score. We say already. And then you get to get some type of preliminary gap assessment. You get to run, like you said previously, we can do the vulnerability scan and see exactly which control is not implemented as or doesn't produce the result as intended. We're going to do that, and then obviously we're going to help you now look for a C3P who can come now and do a deep assessment. And after that, now we can move to the deep cap. You put the deep cap, we're going to put you in the line, and then they will come coordinate with the C3PO, and we're going to help you now to go through that assessment with them. When you successfully pass that assessment, the result can help you, as AB was saying, down the road, you have 3 years. They will transfer your result as a certificate, and then you have 3 years to go back again. So that's basically how it's works. So you have here one kind of key website that you can get, because today we were discussing also about some type of, it's not a conflict, but some type of issue that we have with the CUI, with the DoD, CUI, and also the archive, I always forget that organization.
DIPCAC?
No.
NARA,
NARA.
National Archives.
The NARA. We have NARA and the DoD, they always have their own way to protect the CUI. Even down the road, it's the same thing, but sometimes we always, since the CUI is 8.171, based on 8.171, and especially for the deep organization, we always advise people to go and take the training from this website, from the DoD website, when it comes to understand what's exactly the CUI, right? So, and then we have this the website, the CUI website, that you can go there and see exactly what are the requirements for the CMC 2.0. You see the assessment, how you conduct the assessment, and you see also how you scope your environment when it comes to the CUI, right? And if you have any question, you can send them, and so on. So I think that was all. Any question?
Just a point of emphasis, the previous slide, the bullet number 3, it is a very important bullet, and thanks for bringing that up, because when you go there, you'll see the there's a training how to protect CUI from usalearning.gov, right? And once you go there, you'll see that the end of the first paragraph, it explicitly states that by taking this training, you satisfy the contractual requirement for any contract pertaining to viewing.
Yeah.
So you, from a awareness and training domain that we have, or the control family, that would be a very critical piece. It's free training.
Yeah.
Right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, take it and, explicitly says.
Yeah.
You'll be compliant. What's the
Yeah.
rules?
Yeah, exactly. And that same website also has a lot of training for security awareness.
Yes.
So customers who are looking for security awareness training that's compliant, that's another location you can send them to. Yeah.
I have a question
Mhm.
about the level 2 programs, the annual self-attestation. I've had trouble finding that explicitly stated
There's nothing.
documentation that level 2, a contractor have to do the self-attestation, or is it just implied under the practice to perform an annual security assessment of your organization?
Yes, so let me show you. Okay, here. This is exactly from the UCAT website. These are the requirements, or from the CMC 2.0. These are the requirements. So they expect you, because they're not really taught on the implementation of the control, the aging control and the work. But when you come here, these are the requirements. These are the requirements. Right?
Yeah,
You say
yes.
for level 2.
Yeah, so I was saying, it's always says triennial, so that's obviously the C3PAO once every 3 years.
Mhm.
But if you are that, just the statement that you also have to perform the annual self-assessment.
Yeah.
I just haven't found it explicit. It makes sense, but I haven't found it explicitly stated anywhere, and I'm wondering.
So it's,
I will,
yeah.
I will
Yeah.
provide some of that during my presentation.
Okay.
Where is DoD stand on the
Mhm.
self-assessment and how they're going to convert the self-assessment into a triannual requirement.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
in my session, I'll touch on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And also, if you go on the cap, there are some type of language there that also.
Okay.
Yeah. In the CAP, in the CMMC assessment process.
Oh, it's in the assessment
Yeah.
process. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, just people have asked about that before. and I
Yeah.
haven't been able to find
Yeah,
the
it has
language.
always been a
Yeah.
requirement for DPAR.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
for DPAR 7012.
Yeah.
When it started, there were always that requirement that you self-assess and then you submit your score to SPRS, right? But what happened is, once again, a lot of people were not being truthful,
Yep.
right? So CMMC came out of that saying that, okay, we'll trust but verify.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So that was the mindset behind the
Yeah.
inception of it.
Wonderful. Food and drink break. Are we on?
Yeah, but I just wanted to also add one more point to what something Augustine said. So Augustine talked about the 14 domains and all the practices underneath the various domains have to be implemented for you to achieve that domain and then of course be certified. That is true. Now, the reason I'm mentioning this is because a lot of us here are practitioners under 853, where we're so familiar with poems. They poem everything. On the CMMC, we don't have that luxury. So only certain practices will be allowed on a poem. And it will be based on if those practices are not affecting national security, the network of the organization, and they don't rank as the number 5 or number 3, depending on the practice. So that's something to keep in mind and look out for as you guys get into this stuff. So not everything is a poem, number 1, and only certain things would be allowed on the poem. Then you can't carry the poem for very long, where in the past we'll carry a poem.
There's a time frame.
There's a time frame to it.
In the way we assessors, the way we score, the CMMC is like given 110 control points up front, and then we subtract points, right? So there are some controls that has 5 points, some controls have a range between 3 to 5, some controls are 3, some 1, right? So basic principle is that any control that has a score of 5, you cannot have a 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then in the rule, the 38 CFR that just came out, in section 170.20, it tells you there are other specific controls, even though it's for one, you cannot have points.
Yeah, for certain.
So if you contact me later, I do have a list of all the controls that you cannot have points against that I
Yep.
can share with you.
That would be great, yeah.
Okay? And then also on the other controls that you can have poem, you have up to 180 days to wrap up that poem, because the way it works, that you get your initial assessment score, then there is a process to close out your poem. So until all your poems are closed out, you're not given a final determination.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Question, Jackie? Okay.
You want coffee?
I know.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna do a 15-minute break. We'll get back in here at 11:30, so we stay on schedule. Coffee, snacks, everything out there. Please help yourselves. But thank you, Augustine. Yeah. Hey, Keisha. Oh, restroom is through the back door here.
The same question.
Yeah, through the back door. There's one out there, actually.
How's it going?
Busy, crazy. I love your college color. I can never do purple because I like dark purple, but
Okay.
this shade, when I do it, I feel like it looks funny on me, but when I see it on people, it's beautiful.
Oh, it's good.
Well, no words, the purple.
Oh,
I like the orange.
started looking at the camera and your nails.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
It's really nice.
Thank you.
Thank you. You did a great job.
Oh, thanks.
I like how you broke
doing?
down the intros.
Oh.
I was selling a secret. I wouldn't have even thought to do that. I just put it in.
No, you're
quickly.
busy.
But yeah,
Keep busy, keep getting busy.
make it a little bit. Yeah. So that was really good.
Okay,
Yeah.
just a quick, so Adana and Alana.
Yeah.
I'm always confused. Today I've had Alana. Is that Alana?
Alana, yeah,
Am I correct?
yeah.
Okay, Alana, give me five. Okay, nice to meet you. This is Larry.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you
Email,
emailed, yeah.
So I always got confused. Now I get it.
Yeah.
Since the last time.
Adana is D, my sister.
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
she is L and then an H at the
Yeah,
end.
yeah. So now I get it. Yeah, I'm like, okay. So when I saw you, I'm like, okay, now I get it.
So,
Yeah, sometimes Abby will call me Adana. She means me,
Yeah.
but you were just
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
so I'm just in the mindset
I
of that.
honestly asked for clarification from Abby. All right.
Yeah,
No, no worries. Nice to
Thank
meet
you.
you.
So I have a timer going here and I'm trying to see, should I pause the Zoom, Lisa? And I think, how does she go?
I think so.
She goes, there's
Yeah,
wait,
who's on?
Lisa and Ivory. Where
Nice.
is Asikia and this her laptop?
I don't know. Let me.
You're a Mac person, it's the way she flips back and forth.
Oh,
goes-
oh,
There you go.
I see. And here we are talking. Hey, Ivory.
Ivory, sorry about that. We're on a break.
No, you're fine.
Okay. All right, so we'll be back shortly, okay?
Hey.
All right.
That's funny.
All right, we're getting started again. Come on, guys. Okay.
So before our next speaker begins, I just wanted to ask you a question. Now that the CMMC proposed rule is out and public comments have been submitted, what next? Where is CMMC going? And how can you stay compliant? Today, Faisal Ahmed will be presenting and sharing valuable insights on the CMMC rule timeline, and outlining a roadmap to getting ready and staying compliant. Faisal is a senior CMMC operations and compliance manager with over 20 years experience in technology, cybersecurity, and program management. Having graduated from Harvard's Senior Executive Fellows program, Faisal possesses extensive experience across various sectors, including the government, manufacturing, education, insurance, and healthcare. His experience in defending CIDCAP and CMMC assessments on behalf of the university, and holds many industry certifications, including PMP, CISIP, and CCP. Oh, listed as a CCP and CCA, sorry, on the Cyber marketplace. Faisal enjoys hobbies such as weight training, travel, and hiking. Please welcome.
All right, well, hope you all have your coffee and get ready. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. So let's start off with the road. Why did the chicken cross the road?
To get to the other side.
Right, so essentially what we're going to discuss here today is where the rule is right now, because DoD cannot enforce something to the defense industrial base, so they did, without having a rule or a law or something that they can leverage to give us saying that, okay, thou shalt do about it. Right? So I'm going to start from that, where the rule is, and how the rule will be rolled out, and what are the different phases that the DoD is going to look for, and then what are the pieces of those different phases, and then eventually kind of provide you with some of my ideas of how we should be approaching. So throughout my presentation, you'll see the theme of commitment. So like Augustine said and Madonna said that all of these things, if you're not committed, if you don't know that you need to be going somewhere, you're not going to go. So, but how do you craft your path to get there is this, right? So way back in, I mean, not way back, feels like way back, in December 26th, right after Christmas, we were anticipating that CMC rule will come out. So that's when the CMC rule was released. And it's released in the form of a law. So it's Title 33 CFR, and CFR stands for Code of Federal Regulations. So that means that there's a specific law that is the embodiment of this regulation that they're pushing out to the way. So after that, it went through a rigorous public comment period, as I was alluding to. There was like 600 plus comments all over the place saying that, okay, what are you doing? Are you crazy? So that's where the February 26th timeline came out. And all the comments were done. And now what's going to happen is in this regulation right here, 30 parts, they provide certain timelines. But once again, knowing DoD, the timelines are never set, right? There's always some, it's kind of like a moving target. So the reason I put this disclaimer in is the dates are backwards calculated. So in the rule, the only specific date that they put in is the October 1st, 2026. That's the date specified in that law. I think that that's the date DoD is going to go fully with this picture. But then they provide certain backwards calculations saying that from that date, 1 year prior to that date, they want to have phase 3. 1 year prior to that date, they're going to have phase 2. And 6 months prior to the date, they're going to have phase 1. Right? So let's go to the next one, then I can break down what these things are. right? So we talked about self-assessment earlier, right? So one of the things, there's another law that complements that 32 CFR. It's called 48 CFR. So 32 CFR provides the rules of the game, what to use, which was done in 171. In 172, I mean, it provides the rules of the game and the industrial base or all the companies who participate in that 80,000 heavy group should do something. But then they cannot put that rule in official contract. So when you go to SBA.gov or SAM.gov, and then we try to put a proposal against a solicitation, DoD, as of now, cannot put the language officially in the contract as a requirement until this Title 48 CFR is passed. Then they can officially put that. But this is also dependent on the government. I
Rulemaking.
wouldn't say bureaucracy, but government budgeting process. So they have to get the congressional budget approval done. And we have the election coming, which may make things a little bit more complicated, right? So the way the congressional budget cycle works is it starts in October, ends in September, the following, doesn't follow the January to December. So they have to get all of their items, all their budget submissions, as you see in the CMMC rules, there's a lot of budget language. What is it's costing the government, what is costing average cost of a specific bid member. So so until they can implement that language, they say, okay, during that time, do self-assessment and self-attestation. Okay, but they're also saying if you bring self-assessment and self-attestation, you have to follow two things. One is, as Donna mentioned, the NIST 800-171. Okay, and the supplemental to that is NIST 800-171A. So the A is something that provides you with what could be certain examples, what's the context, how you should look at a control and figure out how to assess it. So that's your assessment guide or CAP that will give you the parameter of how you should be approaching this. So so what they're saying right now, and once again, don't hold me to this date because this is not my date, it's DoD's date, right? So so they're anticipating by October 1st, 2024, that's when they should be able to start putting languages in the contract. But then in the rule, one of the specific area that they talked about is select contracts. So it's not going to be in all contracts. So DoD, at their choosing, they will pick one or more contract, I think more, based on the sensitivity of the contract to the government. So just like Augustine mentioned, that there are certain pieces of contractual information that is more critical than others, right? So based on the criticality, they provide, what contract they will go with. Chances are, any contract that handles with R&D, research and development, that's like Augustine's picture, right? R&D and how we build something, that is the most sought after value by our adversarial country. So that's where everything comes into play. So the phase 2, which spans from October 1st, 2024 to October 1st, 2025, that's going to be the select contracts. Okay. But in phase 3, what's going to happen is, if you're familiar with how the contracting works, when you win a bid, they give you your base years and then they give you option, right? So what's going to happen is now, if you already had a contract over here that is sensitive in nature, but your option year starting at this time, then in order to qualify for the option year, they're going to start putting the CMMC requirement to be eligible to qualify for the option. So for anybody who's doing contracting the government, these are going to be very critical milestones. saying that, okay, you know, I can be comfortable thinking that, oh, I already won the contract, right?
Mhm.
Because by the time, 2020, October 2025 hits, you have to go.
So that is for a new contract or for the
Existing.
This is for existing, new and existing.
no, I mean the phase two.
Oh, phase two for select contracts,
Contract.
yes. So DOT have not specified that whether it's new or existing, but it's select contracts, but then
Which
there
is
will be,
October 1st,
uh,
25.
I guess, a negotiation
Yes,
between the contracting officer of
yeah,
the
October
contract,
1st, 25,
And,
phase 3.
contract or business development manager of the company to negotiate exactly how to place it. But chances are that DOT will be pushing,
Phase 2
you know,
is
pretty
24
hard into
this year.
some of the sensitive contracts.
Right. So, but I'm asking because, as you know, there are some companies that already have their contract. And, let's say, with the new regulation now, they will say, okay, you know what, forget about everything that you have. We are going to start from scratch. And those companies, they are reluctant to embrace or to implement the CMC. Yeah, right. So that's what saying when it comes to negotiate, is the CMC does not say that they can negotiate, but the DOD, so you see the.
So there's going to be a cat and release, and
Yeah.
that's what I say about the cat and release.
Mhm.
So.
Phase
if
3,
it's
that's what I
select
said.
Contracts, from a legal perspective, DOD probably won't be able to push anything to the existing contract. But the angle that DOD will push, they'll just say, well, you're supposed to be compliant with DFARS over here. It's like Adana said, you know, the DFARS, there's a relationship between the DFARS and all of these. So they'll just say that you had this 31 critical DFARS controls. Have you met those up here? So this is where they're gonna say that, well, if you are DFARS compliant.
So
then you
then
should
another
be okay.
6 months. Well, the
That's one piece.
certification
The other
assessments,
piece is,
4
it
weeks.
depends on what else is
Quick,
happening with
quick,
that.
they're trying to make it,
So,
Right.
as you
Oh,
know,
for the-
something else comes out.
oh, no, no,
not
that's,
differently as this. It could
so it
factor
depends on the
modify-
organization, but
Exactly.
they have up to 1 year to qualify.
To think my point is that.
Yeah,
see that
no, it has to be
down the road,
done by a third
a
party.
subcontractor,
That's a
they are going to be in bad shape, right? Each time they're going to call the contractor and say, you have to implement this in your contract. But what about the subcontractor? So the subcontractor is going to be very.
They're already close.
The thing is, you can get away with that,
Yeah.
like Adana said.
Yeah.
With 7012, the flow down clause 7012, I think, part 1, section C, it already had that you need to flow down your DFARS requirement to your subcontractor and so forth and so forth, depending on which level you're going, right? So there's something called the CUI decomposition, right? So if when you are going through the layers of subcontractors, if there's at a point that the CUI is no longer relevant, they're just providing you sheet metals, right? That could be used to make a cable or a propeller for an engine, if there's no distinction that can be attributed to the material, then probably that won't apply. Yeah,
That
but
makes
it's anything that is relational, where you can make one-to-one match.
Yeah.
Or a one-to partial match, then it goes. Right, so, and so that's the top portion, and then I'm gonna try to go quick, because I like questions. I like questions and answers. And the bottom part is, what I'm saying is that this is where, you know, how we, as a defense industrial based companies, how we need to prepare. Right? So number one is create a program. Okay, spend some money, spend some thought into it, create a program. Okay, and then in the program, it's like those 14 domains of family solid state shows, right? Maybe create projects. Okay, create 14 mini projects. But then within the mini projects, Adana said the 320 assessment objectives, right? So make those objectives as tasks within each of those projects. So come up with anybody who's in the project plan, and you understand the flow of it, right? You make a CMC program, each domain becomes a project, and the control objectives within the domain becomes your task, becomes something that you need to achieve. Okay, so it's kind of logically, it makes sense. So that's how I'm recommending that you get prepared. And once you're prepared, if you actually done what you designed to do, all your projects are successful, right? You can then confidently self-attest. Because you lived the life, you finished the projects, you attained the task, you have a checkbox on each of your tasks, saying that I got it. I screen my employees. My physical security is good. Whenever visitors come in, they have to sign in, they have to sign out. Like this, even simple things that we do already. Okay, it's just a matter of making sure that it's recorded and if you can successfully defend it. So once you have that, and this is what I'm saying, that the OS is to consider a readiness assessment to farm self-assessment. So this is where the gap analysis comes in, the mock assessment comes in. Or like, for example, Captiva can possibly partner with an organization seeking certification and saying that, okay, let's do the gap assessment for you. Okay, so we can cross-check everything that we have done and give you where you stand in your baseline, and we can use that baseline to confidently tell us.
Oh. I was outside, so I didn't hear what you said. Exactly.
So that makes sense. So that essentially in that case, you can get help from Captiva as an OSC, or I have to be impartial here, if you don't mind. Captiva or a CPO, Scandinavian CPO, or certain RPOs. RPOs are in a very unique position to provide consulting into what you need to achieve, right? And then they can, hey, if somebody questions here, they say, well, I've gotten my gap analysis done by somebody who is qualified to do so. Yeah. And then I also have my projects, all my projects are done. I know exactly what I'm doing. Everything is crossed off. For all my my managed service provider or somebody like that, I have a shared responsibilities matrix for each of the control. This piece they're responsible for, this piece I'm responsible for. They are providing the cloud platform, but as an organization, we control that, the cloud access broker, how access control is provided to the cloud. So those are some of the things that we need to make sure that what I'm doing versus what you're doing, versus he or she is doing. So that's very important, because that will be one of the, if that sister comes in saying that you just can't go talk to the cloud service provider, okay? You have to know what they're doing, right? Okay. So that's kind of what it is. And then, I mean, I'm not going to talk more, but then there's a way, as I said, commitment that every 3 years, you have to fully get certified, recertified again by a C2PO. But in what we call interim years, you have to self-assess. So once again, balancing your project, balancing your program, okay, you can leverage that. Lessons learned, things to kind of enhance on, things to protect, and then you should run a list of what you should be addressing on an annual basis. Next, please. So now we're going to go into getting ready and staying compliant. So this is kind of like I put this in red. So I was in the CMMC summit that happened in Virginia back in November. And then in there, the realization was that 60% of the companies who went through the joint surveillance assessment, they fell out of compliance within 18 months. Wow. That's shocking, right? Because you just can't say, I got it done, let it go. You can't. You have to, once again, the commitment. the nurturing.
Mhm.
If you bring a child into this world,
Mhm.
right? You have to continually make sure the child progresses the way you want the child to progress. Okay, so this CMMC would be your child. CMMC is something that you care for, you feed, you nurture. So this is the way. So once again, relating how it transitions, right? So in the CMMC program, what I'm saying is like, the first thing you do is you scope it, you scope. What is your boundary? Because the three things that assessment were asked for before even the assessment begins. You have an SSP, you have a boundary diagram, and do you have a list of points,
Mhm.
right? Because those are the three I call core documents. Any assessor will look for before going through your policies, procedures, or interview sessions, whatever. If SSP is not there, it's an automatic fail,
Mhm.
right? So environment scoping is something that provides input to the SSP. How much you're wrapping your arms around, right? And then from that, it goes to plan, control, SSPs, and POEMs. So this is where you plan how I'm gonna approach my CMMC program. Have a good idea of how I'm going to step through the controls, what my SSP is gonna look like, and what poems I have that I should not have, right? Or what poems I have that I need to take care of as soon as possible. And then once you know what you're doing, then you do it. Then you implement and verify the controls and say that, okay, here are the controls I have. Here's how I'm gonna take care of these controls. And then you go to an assessment, whether it's a self-assessment, gap analysis, whatever you wanna call it, right? But if it's a true assessment, for example, then you go something called sustainment. So sustainment feeds out into how you should have this operational cycle. Because one of the control within CMMC says that continuous measuring and monitoring of all of your controls on a regular basis. And this will do that, because if you don't do that and account for changes, new technology comes in.
Mhm.
Some technology you're sunsetting, right? If you don't take care of that change, builds into how it impacts your CMMC scope, will fall out. So once again, policies and procedures, you have to set a cadence that, okay, at least on an annual basis, minimally, I'm going to, even if I don't change anything, I need to have the policies and procedures reviewed. Okay? When you go to risk management, saying that, okay, did a new technology come in? Did it bring any additional risk? Let's say I changed my malware vendor from A to B, right? Did it create any change? Did it impact, because malware is one of the controls that we have to take care of in CMMC. So risk management is a key, and then there's a specific domain called RA that talks about risk management. Do you do risk assessment on a regular basis? Do you have on this risk? And then you go to change management, because they can interplay with each other. Risk management and change management, how you do all of that. And then once again, assessment readiness, and then assessment management. So these are the two pieces where you kind of vet through your annual cycle to make sure that you are truly looking into yourself and knowing that, okay, I'm comfortable to self-assess, because you don't want to put the CIO or the CISO, on a witness stand or on some kind of a stand in a court when the Department of Justice comes up, right? You have to protect the company, and you have to protect the key members of the company. So this is kind of like a sample CMMC roadmap, right? So, and once again, it depends on where your company is, right? This is not, once again, it's not prescriptive, and this is not DOD, this is just me trying to figure out, okay, if I was in that place, how would I push myself matching up with what DOD is doing with their timeline? Remember my very first slide, how it's going. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna, in 2024, let's say Q1, we're going to actually do a complete readiness assessment or a gap assessment or something that we can do. But I think we're already past Q1. So maybe some of this can be slide to the right, right? Convert program to operation, so that was my previous slide, that once you have all of your, I's dotted, T's crossed, then you have to make sure that it can be sustained. Then complete internal control assessment, monitoring strategy and cadence, how you to continuously keep doing the good stuff that you do. Okay, this is very important. The obtain UEI and cage code. You cannot be assessed if you do not have a cage code. Okay. So what UEI is unique identifier is provided by SAM.gov. So if you're a company registered with SAM, you're given a UEI, and cage code it's called
Commercial.
commercial and government entity. Thank you. Okay, so this is a specific identifiable number that DoD uses for their contracts and such. So if you don't have a cage code, when somebody is assessing you, Captiva or anybody, as an assessor comes and assesses you, they cannot report to the EMAS without the cage code. So that means that your assessment cannot be pushed out, and DoD will never know whether you got assessed or not. The EMAS, the cage code is very important for EMAS and also important for your SPRS, because that's another area where you'll be putting your scores in. And then the context is detailed, official assessment scheduling, that's one. Yes, so the backlog, you're going to have to go with the SBA. Okay, you'll be put on a waiting list, and then when the time comes, they'll let you. Right? But the earlier you contact somebody who, you say, the line, the best. And then I'm not going to go through all of these, then, these you can probably, find it in the slide, and then, these are pretty explanatory, saying that what you need to do, assess like maybe 30 controls per quarter. Okay, so that means that within 11 months, all your 110 controls are self-assessed, and in 12 months you do a recap, so you can self-test on an annual basis, right? So that's giving you a kind of like idea. Which controls to take, it's totally up to you. Okay, but I'd say that take the preferred control first. It's like I'll explain a slideshow. There's preferred controls and non-preferred controls. I'd say take the preferred controls. And because the preferred controls often match the B parts required, the 31 B parts required. And then there's going to be a twist. And this is something that I'm telling you, is the NIST 171 revision 3 is coming. Okay, so NIST 800-171 revision 3 is going to have 17 domains instead of 14 domains. Okay. I was one of the initial 3 reviewers of the revision 3. Okay, but the number of controls are going to be reduced. It's going to get reduced from 95 to 110. So hallelujah, it's great, but it's not. Because the 320 control objective now increases to 309. Right? So
The devil is in the details.
devil is in the details. So now they're gonna say that, okay, now this control used to have A, B, C. Now you have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Okay. So see, it's all about that. So don't always look at the control itself, but look at the details. Look at what the control is actually telling you step by step. Is all your users approved, all your devices approved, all your processes approved, right? So you have to look at all 3 of those pieces before saying that, oh, I wasn't thinking about devices. One device gets plugged into our network. I was only thinking about user access, right? So now you have to consider all of those little pieces. And the reason I like revision 3, because now revision 3 is providing a little bit more one-to-one relationship to 853. Okay. But the disconnect that I'm talking about, what's going to happen is the default 7012 right now, it says that whatever latest version of 800-171 is, that's what default requires to be complied with. But CMMC in the 38 CFR, it says that NIST 800-171 revision 2, Then what happens in September when Division 3 is released? Now we have two sets of rules.
Yeah.
R3 for DFARS and R2 for CMMC. And you're trying to figure out, okay, what the heck I'm gonna do? Because now there's two separate, different set of rules that I have to play by. So my recommendation is prepare for NIST 800 Division 3 changes before September comes, when NIST releases the Revision 3. Okay, so that way it will give you an idea, because if you're already doing something in, like, let's say, personal security space or training space, you can just tweak it just a little. Okay, instead of insider threat training, you add a couple of more training. Then you're compliant with this and this. So it's all a matter of strategic thinking, you know, how you need to approach that. Next, please. And that's it, the chicken finally crossed the road.
Questions? So do you think that the CMC are going to update also their document on their website? Because like you said, if the guide, the assessment guide and so on, the scoping is focusing on 801.71 revision 2. And then we have to twist it to really combine with the 801.71 revision 2.
That was one of the comments I submitted during the comments period.
You can see that he loves comments, right?
Which is good, it's good. The thing is, we have to participate.
Yeah.
The government, what we
Yeah.
can or cannot do.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Otherwise, it's going to become authoritative.
Yep.
Right? We don't want authoritative, we
Yeah.
want democracy, we want our voices to be
Yep.
heard.
Very
And comments is a way for our voices to be heard.
Yep.
So that was one of my comments saying that, okay, R2, R3. You know, even though in the very basic nature, they're the same, but they're not.
Yeah.
You're increasing the number of domains on us. You're increasing the number of
Objective.
objectives that we need to comply with on us. And now DFARS is saying we have to do this, and CMMC is saying we have to do this.
How do you resolve?
Can you guys sit down and talk to each other? Right, and, you know, can you tell us what we need to do? That was one of my comments, so fingers crossed, chances are that DFARS most likely will say that will be grandfathered in the revision 2 if CMMC achieved here until the 3-year cycle period ends, the following assessment cycle.
Most likely.
Yeah, so that could be a strategy, but once again, I'm not DoD, so you know, how they adjudicate the comments and how they respond to it is up to them. But that was one of my comments. So my other one of the other comment I felt important is the distinction of security protection asset versus CUI asset.
Mhm.
Because the whole category of security protection asset, and for those who just as a refresher, security protection asset is any system or any process that provides security functions to a CUI asset. So if you have a server that has file server that has all your security, all your CUI data, if you're putting antivirus on it, and antivirus system is here, your definition server, whatever, that antivirus server essentially becomes a security protection asset for that. If the server, if it's a Windows server sending event logs to a SIEM, right, then the SIEM becomes, once again, a security protection asset for that. But my thing was that a lot of the vendors who provide these services, you name it like Symantec, Trellix, whatever, right? They are not CMMC certified, but the flow down asks us for these MSPs, MSSPs, and ESPs to be CMMC certified. I'm just like, hello? You know, these are companies that we, you know, they don't need to be CMMC certified because they don't do defense-related business directly with the government. So they, from that perspective, from legal perspective, they don't need to be CMMC certified, but then from a flow down clause, they have to. Let's make up your mind.
Yeah, so there needs to be another way for them to prove that. The other piece, which is actually even more complicated, is Active Directory.
If you
Yes.
say that Active Directory is a security protection asset, then do companies have to then create a whole new Active Directory forest for your CY data? That's a huge change, not just architectural. but
Right.
fundamentally.
That, and also, I'm gonna borrow your comment and take it down a worse path. In a federated model one.
Yeah.
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 When my Active Directory is connecting with your Active Directory, connecting with another Active Directory.
The trust factor.
Yeah, and then the trust factor, what would be the rule of the game for the trust factor? Because if I have CUI, and you're not supposed to have CUI, should that be a factor for us to have that federated model, or do I have to create some kind of a third-party VPN for you to, come into our environment to do certain things that we want you to do? So it's technically, I think every technology has, there's technical solution for everything, right? We, as, human beings, we're smart, we're evolving, we know how to do things technically, right? But not a lot of people put the critical thinking and the thought process into how we are going to approach it. So if you don't think it through, if somebody says, bring me up the rock, you need to first figure out, okay, for your organization, what size is the rock? What color is the rock? How dense the rock will be, or whatever it is. The scoping is the most important thing. Once you figure out the scoping, then you can figure out what are the layers you have to protect it. So that's pretty much it.
So do you have any comment regarding the federal model equivalency? Because I saw one of the things they say they passed.
Oh, you're about to go down the rabbit hole.
Oh, boy.
Okay, all right. So prior to the rulemaking, there were two reciprocity agreement that was, I guess, verbalized by DoD CIO, but it was never written down, except for the meeting minutes. One is that they'll provide reciprocity or equal treatment for FedRAMP, moderate, equivalent, and I'll get to the equivalent versus certified. And the second piece was the ISO 27001. Especially applicable for like data centers and things like that. If you achieve that, then that would have your reciprocity with CMMC. But in the new law, I have not seen the 27001 anymore. So chances are that they may have whatever the DoD CIO said at the time, it did not officially get into paper. But federal moderate equivalency came in. So this is where the shared responsibility matrix, as you mentioned, right? So that's going to be very important. Because that will tell us that, okay, your federal moderate, not even equivalent, let's say you're federal moderate certified, it's in the federal marketplace and everything. But the issue with that is FedRAMP allows for POAMs for certain controls that can be mapped to CMMC controls that does not allow POAMs. So what I recommend is create the shared responsibility matrix in such a way. So let's say in the column A, you have all of your CMMC controls listed, right? In column B, you have all of your matching or mapped FedRAMP controls listed, right? As applicable or as marries out to those CMMC controls, right? Column C, you put in that does this control have POAMs or not by the vendor, right? Because and then if you put those cells into any of the controls that does not allow POAMs, you can mark them as red, like part of the block red, and say that, okay, anything that's red, I cannot have POAMs against. So if a vendor is saying that, oh, I have a POAM against this one, and then you see that even though he or she is FedRAMP certified, but has a POAM against something that I'm not supposed to have POAM, then you have to work with the vendor, or you have to come up with the responsibility with the vendor saying that, look, I am getting my assessment done in November. You better get your POAM mitigated by October, so I can validate that you have taken care of this POAM, for us to give you a insight. So those are some, and then that needs to reflect on the responsibility matrix saying that, you know, withstanding the poem, okay, the vendor is instructed to mitigate the poem by X date.
And that's just something they can't mitigate in that time period.
Yeah.
In case, then you have to work with the contracting officer to come up with a waiver.
Right, so then there's another process called your risk appetite and risk acceptance, right?
Yeah.
So based on how much risk you can take, I mean, I may take a risk, I can jump from a second-story building and just say, no way, Jose. I'd rather just walk out, you know, whatever. So it's different type of appetite risk that you have. So that's one thing that's saying that, okay, hey, Mr. Miss Contracting Officer, from an OSC perspective, I'm willing to take that risk. And I have these type of risk mitigation or these kind of compensating controls that's in place. So can you give us a waiver for this specific control? And oftentimes, knowing the flux CMMC is in, I'd hazard a guess that the contracting officer will grant a waiver, because I've worked with I was a federal employee for about 11 years, and I used to be a contracting officer's rep, so I know some of the mindset of how contracting.
You are good people to know. One more question and we wrap up with, okay.
So you mentioned that there are 3 things that you need as part of your scoping, right? And I think you alluded to a 4th thing. So would you consider adding contracts as a 4th item? Seeing that the page code is so important.
Yeah, so, you know, so that's actually not even 14, that's essentially the foundation.
Okay.
Right, so because if you don't have contracts,
Yeah.
you don't need to do any of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so contract is essentially the foundation, and oftentimes the contract will tell you what you need to do or which level is some contract will say, okay, all you need to do is qualify at level 1. Boom, 15 or 17 derived controls, you're done with it. Yeah. Right? You have to qualify. So contract is essentially the foundation. And the second piece to real quickly is that if you are a subcontractor, like let's say you are manufacturing a certain widget for Lockheed Martin, something, right? Then there will be some kind of a contractual language where the flow down, the Lockheed Martin will tell you that, okay, this part is protected under CTI or CDI or not, right? And then you have to, based on that agreement between Lockheed and you have to fix that.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, and there's his contact information if you're interested. And then last but certainly not least, we have a read from Captiva, who'll be tying together the key concepts we talked about today and highlighting what CMMC means for you, why you should care, and where we are going from here. Evie has over 25 years in the cybersecurity industry and is the president and CEO of Captiva, founded in 2010, as I previously mentioned. She specializes in governance, risk, and compliance, providing cybersecurity training, assessments, and advisory services towards the CMMC, and as well as FedRAMP, FISMA, and NERC. Through Eddie's leadership, Captiva has trained and helped certify several individuals and assisted multiple organizations getting ready for their CMMC certification assessments. Eddie also supports several authorized C3 PAOs as a lead CMMC assessor. She has multiple CMMC certifications as well, including CCP, CCA, EI, and RP, as well as a host of other industry certifications. Welcome, Eddie.
Yay.
So I'm gonna try and tie it all together and demonstrate why you guys should care as practitioners in this whole space.
So before I start jumping into my presentation, I want to at least throw it back to you all and see if you have, those of you who are still on the periphery of the CMMC, you haven't started becoming full practitioners, see if there's a common theme that you observed through today's presentation. Teacher? Jackie?
I don't know if it's a common thing, but what I've noticed is just that, organizations or individuals have to just try to keep abreast of the continuing change of this,
Yep.
inflation requirements and so on.
Yeah,
It's a movement, right?
Compliance.
okay. Yeah, there's a theme of compliance.
I'm noticing that as we practice with HMC3 a lot, I see CMC is similar.
Yeah,
So,
it's similar but very different.
yeah.
Yep. Okay, really? Anything? Really friendly to all of that. Okay, but you guys are all right. But the one thing I want to emphasize, especially as practitioners, we are in control of this thing taking off. If you haven't realized that, they need people to drive this. They need certified people to drive this. So it's a game changer for organizations. It's a game changer for individuals. So that's why we're racking up the certifications. We're doing that intentionally, not because we like to read and get more stuff behind our name. That's too much already. But the more qualified you are in this space, it opens up opportunities. Okay? This is going to be a game changer in the federal government space. DoD always leads the charge. DoD led a couple of years where they required individuals to become certified. They're leading the charge here by requiring the contractors to become certified. How many contractors are you guys anticipate or expect or have you heard? It's more?
That are exposed to CMMC?
Yes, to expose to CUI.
Oh, not CUI, but the whole
That would be
concept of
required.
CMMC.
Yeah, how many do you think?
Oh, you mean the dip,
They
right?
did.
Oh, about 80,000, right?
Really?
320,000.
300.
Think closer to 400,000.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
A great number would require to come in at level 1. But at least a good number, 100,000 plus, they're thinking. The DoD doesn't even know how many contractors would need to, either earn level 1 or level 2, they don't really know. So that's a great opportunity, both for organizations to stand out and to get the certification, for individuals to assist them. I didn't update one of the numbers, but in terms of assessors, how many assessors do you think, certified assessors, do you think are out there ready to help organizations? Less than 200.
I know.
Wow.
A lot of people fell off though, that's the problem.
Because of the delays.
Latest number I have is 246.
There you go.
Yeah, so not enough.
No, this is a process that takes, for a CMMC assessment, anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks or less. They're even trying to smoosh it even down further for the assessment process. But the prep work can take anywhere from 6 to 18 months. And the prep work, as you guys can see, there's so many nuances. It's not your traditional assessment work, FedRAMP, FISMA. It's a whole different ball of wax.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Plus they're dealing with a base that doesn't understand sometimes the implications of security to their work.
Yeah,
Exactly, some of the clients, right?
and they don't even understand what is CUI.
Yeah.
Ask anybody what is CUI, even in this room, we're gonna get different answers. But CUI is what is replacing your traditional markings, FOU, SBU, LES, all of those markings, over 100 markings. Almost every agency had markings unique to them. So they're all replacing, CUI is replacing all of them. NARA is pushing that. NARA is driving that. But DoD, of course, comes in with theirs, and they have their own CUI markings. So, all right. So I'm really trying to pull this together and show
why you guys should care as individuals, as practitioners. We've established this. The CMMC deadline is looming. Stacy Bosniak, she is the DOD CIO's office, the Chief Information Officer from the DOD. And she is out there. Google her name, she's everywhere, she talks about this stuff. So she's saying it's not going away. The time to start preparing is now. Delay is not going to make the pain any less. Okay? So we believe from all indications, and you can see from Faisal's presentation, by 2026, which is October 1st, 2025, CMMC will be required for new DoD contracts. So everyone who's trying to get a DoD contract would have to have earned their CMMC. Those who are on existing contracts will have to work it in. To bid on a contract, you don't need the CMMC. To be awarded a contract, you need the CMMC. I want to say partner. Because see this, primes are requiring of their subs because the whole chain could lose the contract. No matter how far down the chain you are, 10th level tier, you could affect that whole chain, and you guys could lose a contract. So, not to repeat a lot of what Faisal said, he did a much better job, by the way. We're somewhere here after the comment period, proposal dropped. Initially, they were thinking it was going to be an interim final. Interim final will accelerate things. It was a proposed rule. So we have a 60-day comment period, blah, blah, blah. We're now around here. Okay? Proposed rule, comment periods. By October this year, they're anticipating more things to start taking shape. We've seen an uptick from customers, companies looking to start getting ready. It's a little late, but better late than never. Yeah. Yeah. So everyone has talked about the self-assessment, performing that, getting your score into SPURS. The SPURS system is it's a system that the DoD has been using for a while to enter your score based on the assessment methodology. You're going to use 800-171 that has scoring to determine where you fall, and then you put that into SPURS to determine your level, your risk level. Okay? So this is based on DFAR's case, so 2019 D041. That's the interim rule. This was put into the acquisition system in September 2020. So it's been there for a while. It's been an interim rule, and excuse me, existing DoD contractors should have been complying with this. So now they're elevating the requirement and adding on 7-12, which is where it all started from. Adana talked about it, Faisal talked about it. DFARS 7012 requires contractors to do these things. Safeguards DoD CUI, report your cyber incidents, and flow down the calls to your subs. That piece is the real game changer. Right. Because we still have contractors who believe, well, it's not going to affect us. We only handle a tiny little piece. Wait and see. Wait and see. So without the valid CMMC certification, the prime and or sub will be barred from the contract. And if the prime doesn't have a company who can handle that piece, they're likely to lose that whole contract. Or if the sub is non-compliant, they're likely to lose it. Okay? And it's already written into law. You have these various DFARS clauses. Apart from 7012, you have 7019, where you're required to use the assessment methodology. You have 70/20, which is already required FY 23.
Like a search warrant, you need. to
That
give
allows
them
the
the
DOD, that allows the DOD to come in and assess you even further. And then you have, the one we're all waiting for is this 70/21. That's the CMMC one, that's changing 48 CFR and 32 CFR, right?
Yeah, and
48.
38, 38,
32 and 48, yeah. And then we have the spurs, I just talked about, 70/24, where you're supposed to go in and report all your scores. These are valid links. These things are already out there under acquisition.gov. So your desired outcome is either a level 1 self-assessment. The proposed rule introduced some new changes to this that requires organizations to, at level 1, to also have a score. So it's not just to do the assessment, you also have to have a score. By complying at level 1, you're complying with the FAR. The FAR 52, 204, 21. And then level 2, which is where a lot of organizations want to be, you're complying with DFARS, and that's a third-party assessment. That's where we come in as assessments. We can also help here, because some companies don't understand what to do, but this is where you'll see majority of the need for assessments. The government-led assessments, that is still being formulated. We don't know how that's going to look. We believe DIPCAT, DCMA have a role in that, and a few industry assessors. And that's only going to be for a lot of companies that are high level, that handle more critical CUI.
And can I?
Absolutely.
Okay. So just a quick tie-in between slide 65 and 66, right? So go back to this one. So see where it says contract to give access to DCMA auditors? I have personally experienced, and I had to defend an audit where out of nowhere, DCMS came to this company and said, I'm an auditor. You got 30 days, we're coming. So.
30 days?
Yes.
That's unusual, but I've heard it happening.
Yeah, because they had concerns about their SPR scores. Yeah. And they didn't want to give more time to somebody to go and, do stuff in the back end, right? So this becomes very important that the 70/20, because government is government. They can come and audit you anytime they like. They'll give you a notice saying that we're coming. Trust me, there are 13 government assessors, 13 government employees.
Wow, that came to that audit.
That came to that audit. Wow. They simultaneously, two each, went to 3 different locations to physical security audits. Yeah. Okay, I mean, it was chaos. I mean, I am good, but I'm not that good. I was sweating bullets whole 3
You're like
weeks.
IRS auditors, right? Yeah.
Yeah, whole 3 weeks. Yeah. Yeah, but this is a really important slide. Please take a note of this one and the next one, because they can comment.
Yeah, and it also depends on, so it depends on what you're saying on your first score.
Yes.
If you're saying, oh, we completed all 110, well, we have a perfect score, they're like, oh, really? Let's see. So it's better to actually even show that progression. You know, even if you're minus whatever, because you can go from minus 203 to 110, depending on how you do the numbers. We have resources for you guys, so if you need any of those resources, spreadsheets that calculate that Spurs score. We've been doing this, we've been chasing this thing for 4 years, that's been my life. So we have resources, and Faisal also mentioned he had a spreadsheet for CRN stuff. So if your score is too perfect, that's where it opens it up and they're like, let's see. You know, they want to see the progression of improvement over time. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, what I was trying to say that you can have 102, I mean, if you did a great job.
Yeah,
But we are not saying that you should go there and say, okay, I'll put 80 over 110 and then expect them that it should not come on. You can even have less than 50 and they come and audit
of
you.
course.
It's just that you have to do the first, the third party, third eyes, like Captiva can come and help you to at least start from the ground, build the first level, level 1, and then level 2, and then you are good to go. But if you say, okay, I'm going to save money at level 1, I'm just going to target level 2, obviously you're going to get 110 and then you get a visit.
But to Faisal's point, right?
Yeah.
It's appointed time. So you get the score, you've done the
Yeah.
assessment. It's how do you maintain it?
Yeah.
It's like your house. You don't just clean it one time and let it go. You have to continue to do it. So you have to. If 60% is a high number, not even half.
Yeah.
60% of people
The high
do the
number.
assessment.
Falling,
Yeah.
yeah, falling behind.
That's huge.
It is.
That's significant. Okay. Can we solve this? So the question is, where do you go from here as practitioners? How do you take this information back to your either current or proposed or future organization you're going to be working with? You can choose to do nothing. That's fine.
It's your choice.
It's a,
May not get any contract, but
it's a part of risk mitigation, right?
There you go. So that's true. It's one of the risk mitigation options. You know, but you're gonna lose out on more lucrative opportunities over time because I know the DoD driving this. Other agencies have been chomping at the bit. They've been waiting. They're saying DoD is taking too long, you know, DHS especially.
Yeah.
GSA has been waiting. DOE is putting things in place. So all these agencies are waiting. Yeah. So that means across the federal government, you know, I know a lot of us here are contractors or one thing or the other, federal government, this is a space to be in. It's going to impact us in one way or the other. So the better prepared we are, either prioritizing and acting now, or if you want to wait a few months, yeah, but then we're seeing students, companies coming through, and I know the competitors, their prices are going to go up.
God.
I know them. Look, companies currently are charging the whole body, 2 arms, a leg, head, everything for this thing. So I know it's going to go up. So take advantage of what you can now. Events like this, anything you see online, learn, educate yourself, get prepared. The entry bar is low. We're going to go to that shortly. Next slide. Certification sets you apart, either an organization, an individual. It helps you get more. So keep that in mind. I know a lot of us are like, oh, I'm done doing all these exams. One more, please, or 2 more. Next slide. So why should you care? All DoD contractors will need to become CMMC certified. All their contractors. That increases your opportunities to work with them, support them, X, Y, and Z. It helps the big sector to safeguard sensitive information. We have over 100,000 that need level 2, if not more. We're not sure of those numbers, but we're estimating. And here, this is the key. We are in the driving seat. I've spoken to so many C3PAOs, and they talk about how it's hard to get assessors. I have people who have reached out from the marketplace, and I'm sure Faisal, Ladana, and can attest to this. They're looking for people to help with their programs. So if there's nothing you guys take away from this today, please remember that you guys are in hot demand. Sorry, that's what happens when you're completing at 2 in the morning.
It's a Zoom.
Yeah, Zoom, PowerPoint. Yeah, PowerPoint did something. That's okay. So the reliant organizations are the federal government. This is who you're going to be working with, or the C3PAOs as individuals. You are mostly practitioners, the credential staff. Those numbers are a little bit old, but that's how much we are, you know, it's skewed, okay? There are very few of us versus 100,000 companies. Okay? So there's mad opportunities coming already here.
How many C3PAs are in line as well? They say it's over 400. So.
Yes, so candidate CPPOs, yeah. It goes up to page 4, I'm sorry, page 10 on their list. So they have, I'll say about 100 or 200. Yeah. And they're only 50. Because each time, each time some qualify, some others get tired and fall off the list. That's been what we've been seeing. You know, so there's attrition. All right, next slide. So when you do get certified as a CCP or CCA, you can work with RPOs. You can work with CGPOs, authorized CGPOs. They are not that accredited just yet. That's a whole other issue. We can work with other organizations like consultants who are helping with CMMC. Okay, but always remember, only certified assessors can perform these assessments. Okay, so we've talked about the future of CMMC in different ways. It's coming across the federal government, but what's happening outside of the US? NATO countries are looking, we've gotten calls from people in South Korea and Japan. They are interested in becoming certified, both individuals and organizations. Canada has adopted 80171. They have a cybersecurity program. They're starting to implement things. They're going to use US resources to do that. So that gives you further leverage. And then US, UK, Australia, they're trying to do stuff with technology and nuclear powered submarines.
We attended the British Embassy, had a CMMC talk.
Yep.
Is it this year?
Yeah, no.
I'm just saying.
Yesterday. Yeah, it's all in fairness. Yeah.
And quickly on Canada, their program is called CPCSC. And what they're doing is they will be saying that anybody who attains CMMC certification, they'll have reciprocity to CPCSC and vice versa. So it would be very, very collaborative and instrumental.
I was gonna ask that about all these other countries. I'm assuming they'll all kind of set up their own, like acronym, they'll be just.
So the way it works in other countries right now, especially for DoD, they can, under DoD, they can license a specific site. So for example, I'm an organization, I have a manufacturing plant in Germany or in UK, whatever. We can actually request DoD and DoD will provide something like a site license, even though it's a different country operating within the scope of that site. But then that increases the requirement for protection to protect CY in that sector, how your data moves through. I have not, I mean, there are a lot of talks going on. They would like to adopt CMMC, but they have similar controls similar concerns as we do, that CMMC is not, and please forgive me for saying that, the CMMC 2.0, the rules of the game, I don't think they're 100% pure just yet.
Yeah, but you're correct, because a lot of this, they said they wanted something out, and then they'll iterate on it as time goes on.
Right.
So yes, it's gonna be very, very raw right now, and that's what we're seeing. But the biggest thing, to put it in context of what Evie is saying, and why do you care? At the end of the day, right, we all need to eat. And there is a lot of, when you talk about who has the deepest pockets in America, you can talk about commercial all you want, but DoD has the largest budget, right? Bigger than commercial, it's civilian. So the civilian arm, biggest budget, you follow that, is CMS, which is where Medicare and Medicaid fall under, right? And healthcare there. But DoD trumps all. So at the end of the day, why do you care? At the end of the day, you're looking to be part of that ecosystem. And that's how you see companies scrambling and
A lot of
poking each other.
Yeah, a lot of companies have risen out of the wood, out of the, the dust overnight, claiming to be, should I say, experts in all of this.
Yeah.
Which is fine, the more the merrier, but you know, those of us who've been practitioners for so many years, we know how it works. All right, so the key takeaways here. Is going to require the volunteer contractors, please remember that, DOD is driving this. Currently, contractors are required to implement 800-171, so become familiar with that. We all know 853, 171 is a subset, revision 3 is coming. Go to NIST website, learn about this stuff. The more you know and can demonstrate to your employer or future employers, you know, it goes down well for you.
Or reach out to Captiva.
That's right. The primary constraint on this whole system is the lack of the assessment ecosystem. The C3P organizations, the individuals. 50 organizations, that's nothing. And an assessment that takes 4 weeks, 6 weeks, that companies are coming out with all sorts of tools. AI this, all sorts of tools to help drive this, which is fine, but guess what? That tool also has to be certified.
Yeah.
You're gonna put sensitive data in there, you can't just wake up and create a tool. Knowing the prepare, sorry. Preparing for what will be ahead will help you and your company, and we'll talk about that. But please, just take that to heart. Learning more about this stuff, you know, it's not rocket science. We've all learned to worry about it over the last 4 years. So it's easy to pick up. It has unique nuances, very unique. So that's what should give you that impetus to go after it and say, look, I can help you with your CMMC.
And Larry can lead the study groups.
No problem.
Larry is always available. Second level certification.
Oh, my word.
Oh, I just submitted my SR 86.
Could you not speak in government speak? What is SFA?
Actually, DOD
His background checks, that
suitability.
they go back
background check.
through seven years.
Oh, no, I nearly quit, you know.
He called me several times, I was like, don't quit. All right, so our next event, please, first of all, evaluations, please, we need that, your comments, your feedback, we want to know what topics you guys want to hear next. Hopefully there'll be more of us, spread, share the word, do what you can. June 28th, according to the summer gathering. Did it look out? It might be, okay. But still trying to figure out what works. So trying, you know, we'll listen to you all. But please like, follow, join us and stay in the link there. I have a few, come on.
Mark.
Was it Mark?
Yes.
Mark, read the loop. I have a few slides about the training, for anyone who's interested. We have our training schedule here, QR code, our program, please scan. But you guys will also get a copy of these slides, those of you who participated. Okay. Just to give you guys an idea of the certification attached to that. These are our courses, duration, pricing. Oh, the tickets you guys were getting today.
Did everybody get?
qualifies you guys for what? What is it, ticket?
50% off.
Coffee. 50% off a class.
Yeah.
Oh.
So we'll do a
If you don't have a ticket, I can.
So I commend you guys for staying till the end so we can do the raffle. Next slide, please. This is the journey to become an assessor. Step 1, earn your CCP from a licensed training provider. Do these 3 things. Captiva. Here are the. Wait. Yes. Okay. Here are the requirements for a CCP. The entry bar is low. So please don't feel discouraged. 2 years of professional experience, C8+ if you do have it, or something else. And you pay the fees, get your training. Citizenship requirement, none at this level. So, next. CCA, it goes up. You have to have a CCP, the main thing. Before the main thing was saying 4 years of assessment experience, but then are you?
No, I'm good. I'm
Okay.
just making sure.
Then you pay your registration fee in the exam. Once you're a CCA, you're only renewing the CCA, not renewing the CCP, okay? Citizenship is required, you need a DOD suitability determination, background check goes back 7 years.
Larry, let us know if you pass.
Next slide. And then that's it. This you can get from the Cyber AB's website. Well, that's the snake is the assessor's journey. Thank you all.
What's the next CPA class?
Oh.
April.
Let's start it tomorrow.
April 25th to 28th, that's what is in my head.
Oh, there's another one coming up. Also April, so yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We go back to that slide.
Yeah.
Schedule. QR codes.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can scan this one, it will tell you the schedule.
All right, thank you very much.
So, yeah, we'll do the wrap one and you guys can, I don't want to hold you up. No, yeah, a little bit. I'm not gonna take, so there's no bias there. So maybe Larry. Did everybody get a ticket?
No.
No.
Excuse me, I had Larry.
Yeah, you're going to help us pick the ticket.
Oh.
Payment.
If they have the SPF 5, 5, 6, 61, 28.
The number you need to know is 548.
You'll give it to someone you know.
Yeah, you know, maybe take negotiation. Oh, this mic. Okay.
Anybody else want?
Yes, please.
You know that everything is negotiable.
Yeah. Yeah, so what are you gonna negotiate for?
Yeah, yes.
Well, we have to-
Lily, did you get one? Lily, did you get one?
Yeah, Lily got one. Thanks, I didn't get one. You're not interested.
I'm interested if I can get my son into a city.
So let's go take the list.
That's it.
Larry will come and help us pick.
Okay.
You guys might
Oh,
scan
it's
that.
a important to get the code. So,
You can use it. Show that. You okay?
I'll get it. I'll get it.
No, this is good. Should I come out? Leave out.
Also, if everybody could, do the sign up sheet so I can send you your CPEs.
Oh, yeah, it's so important.
Yeah. So how long was the event? 2 hours,
With-
let's just say.
Yeah, this
So that would be like 1.5.
Yeah.
CPE.
Okay.
All right. That's okay. You ready?
Making sure everyone. You wanna go to?
Go there.
Yeah, come on, bro.
So what?
Oh, I thought you just wanted to.
Yeah, take it up.
I thought he was gonna be taking it.
No, you are just work for him, there's no collusion.
Yeah. Close your eyes. Oh, thank you so much. Close your eyes to, Larry. Close your eyes, they're not looking at anybody's number, they're putting your hand in.
Oh, I see, okay. Hold on, Larry, hey. You can check.
now we know that we are friends since political.
No. No need for historical context.
There's no friendship in probability.
Okay, close your eyes. Look away. Look to the wall and then put your hand.
Exactly.
That's a top call.
Yeah, I know one. All right, Mr. Larry.
They were qualified, bring somebody else.
What's my eyes and just you? Ticket number 548-038.
That's me.
Is that you? I will not believe
Wow.
it.
Are you going to take the class of it? If you can't, if not, you take it, give it to me.
038. For real? Seriously? Mark.
Give it to other people, that's not what
It's
you're
okay. Come on up, we'll do an assessment of the ticket.
No, there has to be a separate audit.
Oh, yeah.
This is marvelous. I've been encouraging you to try and do this stuff, and you now get this. So look, it's putting in your lap for a reason.
The universe is pushing.
That's right.
Oh, wow. That's what I thought.
The winner. He's the winner. Congratulations, Mark. All right, you signing up for the book. Oh, picture. Oh, yeah. Get a picture. Hold on. Let me set my camera. Let me hear.
Some type of evidence.
Nice. All right, thank you all. Please do the eval. And then we'll follow up. Oh, yeah, sorry. We'll follow up with, our,
They don't get it.
a group picture.
Yes, please.
Let's see, beaucoup.
Thank you.
And I don't know how to say thank you, my mother's brother. Namaste.
That works.
And you can say obrigado, obrigada.
Sorry, I don't know. No problem. All right. Let's go group picture. Speakers, please. Come up front. Dana, Austin. You're supposed to see the picture. No, I'm not looking at the picture.
You are part of the security.
Yeah, you gave. You tried it all together.
Let me get it.
I don't need it.
So Mark, are you taking it?
No, they-
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take it.
Oh,
Okay. Let's see you back.
Thank you. We can have study groups, because I need to do my CCP and CCA as well.
CCP first, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Take them then.
Next.
Oh,
Oh, I did that intentionally in case I had to back up.
Thank you very much.
All right, everyone, please.
Yeah. Can we do a quick group report to show who was here?
Oh, sorry about that. I should have taken it. I'm so sorry.
Oh.
How do we, set it? Take the group one.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, 20 seconds.
Who's gonna take picture?
I'll take one and then.
I'll take them in here. We'll show.
And then we also have on our. Yeah.
On our social media.
Yeah. LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes, I was gonna.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. Oh, really?
Alana?
So speakers, instead I have to take another one with you all.
Yes, please, because it was showing on your faces.
Why? No, I like Captiva.
Attendance.
Move forward, move forward, move very this way.
This way.
Yeah. Switch it.
Curve.
Oh, there you go.
Captiva.
Captiva. Thanks for being here.
I can take one with you and then.
Sorry, guys.
All of them are black and gray.
You guys are all black.
By blocking you?
Yeah.
Hey.
Okay, you gonna come in?
Yeah, just wait, please.
Enjoying there.
Oh, you wanna jump?
No, you have to be there.
Oh, maybe. Want me to take
No,
you?
you have to be there.
So who's gonna take the?
I'll take the picture.
Okay,
Are you see?
Yeah, the light. Yeah. Very off-centered, actually. Take a deep breath.
Right, you already hit him, yeah, you got it.
Oh, okay. You disrupted the flow. That was really jacket. It's under the vibe, you know?
The grades.
Yeah, don't trip, be careful your back. Don't trip. Yes, I can see it, that's fine. This is live, that's what she's asking, screaming. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, everybody.
Nice to meet you. Okay. Yeah, that's all.
I'm local, I'm in Fairfield. Yeah, I live in Howard County, so I'm 1 week in Maryland, 1 week in Pittsburgh. Is there any way that you can travel?
You should have done it like.
Yeah, yeah.
I've always liked to you.
Yeah.
Exactly. You have to take
Big fun.
to use it.
Take
Yes.
fun.
We have it on record.
Big
Take
fun.
Thank you so much. You always come around. So sweet of you. Thank you. We have to connect.
Yeah, look at details, so.
Yeah.
Have my email.
Yeah. Oh, she's leaving? Yeah.
We don't meet you and we have to.
You have to come for more stuff.
I need to be the rest over there.
Yeah, of
It's so
course.
quiet
It's
over
fine.
there.
People go back to chill and relax.
To go relax.
I'm letting you have fun.
I know, I wanna come on.